It is time for Walk and Talk Wednesday. I just hit the sunshine, so it made my eyes start watering. It feels good though. Oh my goodness. I am in Troy, Ohio, just for the day. Carlos is on a work trip, and it's near Dayton, southwest part of the state. So while he's working, I came outside to keep up with our weekly Wednesday walk and talk. Good morning, everybody. Hope some people can jump in. So I have not walked around this area. It's mostly few hotels, restaurants, stores, gas stations in this part of town. Not a lot here. We have a little park by a um, river, I think. We didn't go down there, but I did some research. I would do some research before we come down. If someone is in here, can you let me know if you can hear me? I'm using a different ear pod. I hate that I can't hear myself when I do this. We're going to talk about the plea deal that's happening today. Hello, if anybody's watching, please let me know. Let me know if you can hear me, even if it's a thumbs up or something. I think I can see. Should be able to see the chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi. Thanks for joining. So before I start talking about all the plea deal, the stuff that's going on, I was looking up whenever Carlos and I travel, um, I'll look up the area and see what true crime cases, if there's any in the area. And oh my gosh, this is like, it seems like a little town, but there's like six, how did they call it? Notorious cases. I'd never heard of them in this area, but they're pretty creepy. There is one from 1964 that had dismembered body parts all over the place in this town, somewhere in the canal. That's not good. The most recent was from 1997, and a couple was shot in their house. It's still unsolved. So nothing so notorious that like we would take a trip to go check out, you know, any historical spots or anything like that. Like one time we went to Wisconsin, so we did go to the Making a Murderer, um, where they had their business, their car business. So we will do that sometimes. I'm trying to stay away from traffic, so I'm going back in this area. Let's see. Yeah, so like, so I got questions about the plea deal, just like all of us. I think everybody's, mainstream media is saying that the prosecution offered the plea deal. So I want to know for sure who, I think that's how they portrayed it. So anyways, the question is who? Did the prosecution offer it or did the defense ask for it? And if the prosecution offered the plea deal, then why? Like that makes it seem, my first reaction is, oh, they're not, oh, look at this nice van behind us. Like a travel, it says Army on it. Looks governmental. Look at that, you guys. Sorry, I interrupted my thought. Hope they're not like on their way to being deployed somewhere. Oh my gosh. So why would the prosecution offer that? Is it, my first reaction is that they feel like their case isn't strong, right? And if you've been questioning the case, you don't doubt that. But then other people, like my husband Carlos, when we have our discussions about the case, he's thought they've had the right person all along. A lot of people brought up like the Casey Anthony trial, someone who seemed like the evidence was showing she was guilty, but then the jury finds the person not guilty. And so is the prosecution just worried about, a hung jury or possibly him getting off on a technicality or not wanting to take that chance? So there's that. The defense, like, is she encouraging Brian to take the plea? And part of me is like, it seems pretty evident to me that she's had a hard time getting the evidence. Maybe there's evidence she knows she needs and she just can't get her hands on it. I don't know. So she's feeling like I can't do my best defense. Or did he just really do it? And especially with the DoorDasher coming out recently, a lot of people are speculating about that. Like, do you think the DoorDasher had an impact on him? Like maybe he didn't realize. I don't know if that was evident in the discovery that the defense was able to see. Did they know that the DoorDash driver was going to be like an identification witness? Like she was going to say, like, identify the car and identify him and describe what he was doing. This can go any way, I think, this morning. All right, I always stop in shady areas so I can see the chat. Is it Able Gaming? Hi, thanks for joining. Thanks for subscribing. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. My husband and I, we do videos on this channel usually together. I've done some by myself where I like read court documents, and I do these every Wednesday. I'm trying to walk and talk. But where was I going with that with my husband? He's always thought they had the right guy. Oh, we joke that every video we release, we get one more subscriber, which is fine with us. We're just doing this organically. Yeah. I'm not, how do you guys think this is going to go this morning? Do you think it's going to be super fast? Like they'll get in there, Judge Hippler will keep it very just boom, boom, boom. Here's the charges. Do you plead guilty? Are you accepting these? And it'll be done in just like a few minutes because they've had a couple of those kind of hearings. So part of me is kind of expecting that. I feel like because that will let me down. Like I want as much information as possible. So I figure we probably won't get any. Excuse me. Or, I guess the judge can, if he chooses, put in some stipulations, like saying, Mr. Koberger, in order for me to accept this deal, you need to tell me what happened. And I guess that's common. Judges can do that. I would like that. I think the families deserve that. I think just the general public that's been so invested in this case deserves that. At least some answers. I know there was a letter out there. I don't know if it was written by Steve Gonsalves or if it was the Chapins. I think it was Steve asking for that very thing. Like, let us know, like, think it was worded like, when did the beginning of the end start? Which is horrible to say it that way. I keep putting myself in the parents' positions. Like, I can only relate it to what I went through with my child with a medical issue and how I acted during that. My son had leukemia, and he's okay now. He's in remission and has been that way for over 10 years. But for 2 years, we battled, and he ended up having a bone marrow transplant. And Carlos, my husband, always kind of chuckles at me when I bring up these like kind of like conspiracy theories about the Koberger case. I don't see them as conspiracy theories. I see them as something I notice, a question I have, a possibility that's out there. And that's the way I handled the medical issues, like with doctors and the hospital staff, because we lived there for 2 years. So if you're new to us, we started this podcast. That's where our name came from, typically unique, because the doctors would always say, oh, that's typical. We see it all the time, and try to like blow us off. Or they would do the opposite and say, oh, this is a very unique situation and we're not sure. We're going to have to look into it. And we heard that so many times. And I knew I wanted to tell our story someday. So that's why we named our channel the way it is. And our first, probably like, I don't know, more than 50 videos are describing that whole situation. But in the medical area, like if I saw something, like I'm like, well, what if it's this? Or, could this help? I would go to the doctors and I would ask them, and they would have to prove to me, that I was wrong, and I would accept it. Show me why. Okay, gotcha. I think that's all we're asking for in this court case. So it's a different content, but the same type of, and I just know as a parent, man, I know Steve G's been all over the news and everything. I feel like he's been mild and contained. I think I would have been, I don't know. I was I was pretty ruthless to the doctors and nurses, and like I got procedures changed at the hospital. Uh, so I don't think it's wrong to ask about possibilities. And even if we hear today Brian say, yes, I'm pleading guilty and I did this, and he gives us all the information, I still think there's a lot hanging out there that we'll need to look at again and say, well, why were we thinking this? Or okay, so we thought this thing was, you know, like that guy at the dumpster, right? The Linda Lane footage that catches that guy. Okay, then what was that? You know? And I think that's one of the questions that needs answered. Like, did you do this alone? Was that a true statement? I don't know where I'm going. I'm just walking. Was that a true statement that was a rumor at the beginning of all of this that he asked, was anybody else arrested? We need to find out, where did that come from? Make sure that that's not, if it was accurate, then hello, is he just taking the fall for a bunch of people, and why? And if he was such a loner, how did he end up with a group of people that did this? Skalmakai, hello. I could not stay up too late last night. Sorry, I got up so early this morning. I think I was up before 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, my lipstick. I put makeup on today. Usually, though, don't expect this every Wednesday, because I am waking up, throwing my hair up, going for this is more of a leisurely walk. I didn't even bring my, I usually have to wear like a knee wrap because my knee's bad. I didn't bring that. I didn't bring tennis shoes. I'm walking right now in flip-flops. So, but I wanted to keep it going. What else about the plea deal? Carlos and I did our live, like as soon as we heard it, I think like we had just got done eating dinner or something. So, we weren't on our phones during that. And then I grabbed my phone and was just scrolling. And I think Jules was live and she had like a news video. Still there? Sorry. She had a news video going on behind her. And I'm like, what is she showing? And I listened for a second. I barely heard like the words come out of the reporter's mouth. And I went running into the house to tell Carlos. And of course, he was like, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. And he did say it months ago on our videos, but I think I was in shock all night trying to wrap my head around this. I know. Oh, so that's the other thing. Like a lot of people are saying that he was infatuated with Ted Bundy, and Carlos and I talked about that too, like the evidence that had just come out in court docs pretty recent. No, it was in the Dateline. It was in the Dateline episode where they leaked the phone images he had on his phone, and that he had watched a documentary about Ted Bundy. And sorry, I'm too close to the road. I'll go somewhere else where it's quiet. Geez, that's a loud truck. We're kind of near the freeway. Tell me what I was saying. Oh, the Ted Bundy thing. I just feel like, okay, so they're making this comparison, and I was like, I was defending against it, right? But did you guys watch the Ramslin interview with Brian Etten? I thought he asked really good questions. I thought she clarified at the beginning, like, hey, I'm still under a kind of I don't know if she actually used the words gag order, but there were certain things she couldn't talk about. But I still felt like she was very forthcoming. After hearing her, I thought, oh my God, I think if this is all true, if the defense asked for the plea deal, if Brian says, yes, I did this, and he's like 1,000% like believable that he's taking ownership over it, then I can see that fixation. I always call it more of a fixation, and I do have a close relationship with somebody that grew up with that type of autism spectrum disorder. And trust me, if you don't know the person real well, you don't know. You think there's something odd, but you're just not sure what it is. And only the people like parents probably. And a lot of times, from my experience and people I know in that situation, they realize there's something different, but they don't understand. They think it's not impacting their life that as much as it is. And what you would observe is like fixations on things. And it can be cute when they're little, right? Like, I want to learn everything there is about dinosaurs, or whatever they like, and they don't just like it, they go in. And imagine what that's like as you grow into an adult. And then maybe things that you're exposing yourself to aren't positive anymore, but you still have that fixation and you still dive into things that maybe aren't healthy for you. Like, I I have experience with somebody close to me like that, so I see it, I get it. Carlos and I both get it, and we also know that even if you are the parent and you do recognize it and you do try to get help, trust me, you guys, there is no help out there, especially when you're like uh, you're not an adult, but you're almost an adult. Everybody has an excuse to like blow all that stuff off. But so with the Ted Bundy thing, I asked Carlos. He has a better memory for like if he watches a documentary, he'll be able to like recall all the stuff about it. And I can watch the same show like 10 times, and every time I'm like, oh, I didn't remember that. But I asked him. I said, hey, did Ted Bundy ever make a plea deal? Because I don't know if you guys know a lot about Ted Bundy, but he did some crazy stuff. Like, he was arrested multiple times, escaped from jail, like, I think twice. Like, one time he just made himself lose so much weight. He slipped through like a little window crack or something, and then like jumped out 2 stories or something. But Carlos said he was supposed to take a plea deal. Listen to this. Sound familiar? It was all set up to take the plea deal. And I just looked this up the other night. There was a little clip of it on, there's a clip of it on YouTube. I can't remember the channel. It's old. Um, but the lawyers were talking. Oh, now there's a lawnmower. That's great. The lawyers for Ted Bundy said they had to wear him down in order to agree to the plea deal. And so what they did was they took turns. Um, one of them spent 5 hours with him, and then he would leave and go sleep, and then the other lawyer would come in and take over. So they just kept him up until they wore him down, and then he agreed to it. But when they went into court to sign it and agree to it in front of the judge, I guess Ted Bundy walked in, saw all the news media, and said, I'm not doing this. I want to be heard, and turned around and walked out. What do you guys think about that? That's a possibility for today, too. And that's how I met your mother. My good friends at home are obsessed. They used to be obsessed with that show. The Roadside Killer. All right, let me see who's in here. Hi, Andy. Hi, Jeff H. Hope my phone doesn't overheat. I'm in Southern Ohio, and it's probably like 10 degrees hotter down here than it is from where we are. Jeff H., what you thinking about all this? Did you see Carlos's like celebratory "I was right, told you so" video that we did? Not celebratory, but you know. Yeah, was that your first time going live? You did good. I know it's awkward the first time you do it. I feel comfortable when I'm walking and talking. I think I'd feel more weird if I was sitting at my desk in front of a computer. I don't know. Oh my goodness, 12:30 a.m. there. Australia, hello. Oh, it's winter time for you guys, isn't it? Aren't you opposite from us? Well, thanks for joining. Are you gonna stay up a couple more hours to find out what happens? You read docs and you don't remember. Yeah, my husband and I, Carlos and I, we're going to be driving on the road, so we are not going to be able to like pull up the hearing and watch it live, but we are going to have somebody's YouTube channel who's what probably CJ. CJ is one of the first creators that I found on here talking about the case, and I've developed a friendship with him, and he's had us on his show, and he's just always supported us a lot. So I love him for that. And later tonight, actually, we're going on his show to talk about it later. But while it's happening, we're going to be in the car driving, just listening. I I wonder if they didn't know about the DoorDash driver, like if they didn't know exactly what the DoorDash driver knew or saw, and that coming out, did that have an impact? Because that's just very coincidental in this case. Or um, the plea deal hasn't been offered yet, and now it has, and I don't know. If he agrees to it, I can't see agreeing to it without actually being guilty. I know people say innocent people agree all the time, but they do that to get a lesser sentence. But for him, it's, you know, firing squad or no firing squad. But Carlos and I talked about this a lot. If if I'm innocent and you're gonna get, put on death row, you're gonna be on death row because you're gonna be able to appeal, appeal, appeal. And if it's for uh, death sentences. I don't know how they do that because they'll do 4 life sentences. Do they do 4 death sentences, even though you technically can't get 4 of them? Do you get that many more appeals? But he could appeal this probably for the same amount of time than pleading guilty and just be getting life sentences. It'd probably be the same lifespan. I don't know. And you could, with having the appeals, at least you could still fight. Now, I could understand a lot of people are saying the prosecution's trying to avoid that for the families because if he's found guilty at trial and he gets put on death row, this is gonna get brought up every so many years, and the families are just gonna have to relive this, relive this, relive this. Sheriff just passed me. Shh. People probably reported me. There's some girl talking about serial killers out on the street. Yeah, I've heard that he has 30 days to change his mind, and then I've heard he has up until sentencing to change his mind. I don't know. I didn't look it up. Oh, something I did look up. Now, this is just a Google search, so take it for what it is, but I looked at a couple different sources. They both said the same thing. So a lot of people, me included, I was like, well, what if he takes an Alford plea? And so that is, I'm going to say I'm guilty because I think you have so much evidence against me, but I'm still claiming my right to prove my innocence. And then he can still have all the appeals and all that stuff. And to me, if that's another way, like if he didn't do this, he either needs to take an Alfred plea or just say, I'm not taking a plea deal at all. Otherwise, you're guilty to me. Featuring OJ. But I don't think Alfred pleas are very, um, judges don't like to grant them. I do think they have that possibility in Idaho. Other states call it something else like NOLA or something like that. I saw that word, but I didn't click on it to read about it. But oh, because I was like going like, uh, sorry, I'm turning around. I'm staying in this tiny little, just this one street I keep going up and down. This end's quiet. Those of you just joining, I said I'm in Troy, Ohio, because Carlos has a work trip, so I just come with him sometimes and hang out. And I always look up the true crime cases in the places we go, and there were like about 6 of them down here. I was surprised, but it was interesting to read about them, but there wasn't anywhere like I thought maybe we could like go to a actual place or something, but there wasn't really anything. Amber Heard's case, what did you learn from that? All the funny stuff that happened. So what else about, do you guys think it's going to be quick or long? Like they said that they're giving an hour. I got a bad feeling. I just think they're going to go in. Judge Hippler's going to read the charges. Are you pleading guilty? Do you agree to these terms? Yes, yes, yes. Adjourned. Because I don't think we're hearing from the families today, right? Do the families speak at sentencing? That always, whenever I hear victim impact statements, tears my heart out. Lawn mowing day around here. I'm going to get to some shade in a second. I can't see the chat till I get to some shade. I really, really, really hope that if he's taking this plea deal, that Hippler is, and this might be a possibility. Hippler seems to me like he has been, I want to call him Hippler the stickler. Hippler the stickler. Like he says what he means and he's not debating it and his mind is made up and he don't care what you have to say. So I hope he takes that approach and says, Mr. Koberger, are you pleading guilty to this crime? Yes. And then looks at him and says, what happened? Tell us what happened. And adds in some specifics of exactly what he needs to hear. And like I said this earlier, the families deserve that. And I think the public deserves it. And then what's going to happen if they go in there and the defense is like, we're not agreeing to this. I don't know why everybody thinks what we said we were agreeing to this. I think it would be like the judge pounding his gavel on the table, like, order in the court. I think that place would go crazy. I don't know. Someone would have to hold Steve. Although, actually, Steve Gonsalves, he wants it to go to trial. So crazy. No, he was not happy. I don't blame him. It would be torture for me to not get the trial, to not know everything. I would never want to hear or see any of the gruesome details. I don't need to know that. I wouldn't need to know that about my kid, but I would want to know what were they doing? What, just Why didn't help come for so long? I mean, I would want that question answered. I know, Nana, I agree. I still can't picture any one person doing this, but I don't know. Oh, Catherine Ramsland, we mentioned her earlier. I was shocked. I forgot what you guys said. Did you guys all hear her? Did you get to see the Brian Enton interview? I was shocked at the way she said, when I have these students, these criminology students, when they come to me, our focus is on the inner thoughts, the psychology, the psychopathy, all of those mental conditions that seem to pair with someone growing and developing into a type of person that could commit these crimes. And she said, the first shocking thing that she said, Carlos and I both kind of looked at each other like, did we both just hear that? That her and all other professors that teach these kinds of classes basically have a general understanding that they could potentially have somebody in there that are signing up to take these courses with ill intentions. And she said she never noticed anything. She never noticed anything like that. She never tries to look at students like that. She tries to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and that's why she's doing these studies and teaches these classes, because all that stuff's internal. You can't see that. That's why it's so important when there's um anybody online that is posting anything nefarious. That's them putting their inner thoughts out to the world, and it's so important to always report it. That's the only way you're ever going to know. Someone who's writing things, books, poetry, online posts, things like that, that's their outing themselves. Otherwise, it's all inside. And she was saying that she knows that there's that potential for somebody to be in her classes there to not study how to make the world a better place, but how to learn how to do this stuff. And it was just chilling the way she said it. And so then, of course, Brian Enton moved the questioning more towards talking about BK and how she felt hearing that he had been arrested. And I felt like she was very straightforward, very honest. She's like, he was so confident at the beginning. She even mentioned him saying, expecting to be exonerated. He didn't wait. He didn't stay in Pennsylvania. He waived his whatever that's called. He went straight to Idaho. But she said the turning point for her was when he didn't have an alibi. And that was a big debate on here with all the channels and all the people that talk about this case you know, is saying you're driving around in a park at night an alibi. And she was saying based on what I taught him in class about alibis, what he understands as a student of criminology, he knows better. So she said once he wasn't able to produce anything like that, she was like, he did it. Nip what in the bud? I I don't know if I mean, Ramsland talked last night. And she was supposed to be a witness. So she seemed pretty confident that there's a plea deal, he's agreeing to it, done deal. And that's why she was talking. And she seems pretty believable and trustworthy to me. But again, we'll know in a few hours. Right, you can skull Mackay, but he didn't. That's the thing. He didn't. And is it because Ray still needs that data? I can't wait to hear from Ray. Oh my God. I'm also wondering, another question I have. Did Ray get to analyze everything data wise and learn something? Did he bail out? I that's hard to believe with him he made such harsh claims. So did he ever get the information he was looking for? Because a few months ago he put in his affidavit and he was making it seem, I mean, not even making it seem, he was saying you're hiding stuff from us. So it is a quarter to 11 Eastern Standard Time right now, and it's supposed to start at 1 a.m. Eastern Time. The 11 a.m. Mountain Time. But you guys, that was Carlos calling me, and he's done with his meeting, so that means we are peacing out on our way home. Hopefully, I'll see all of you in a chat while we watch this thing go down later. Joining me. I gotta run because I gotta run up and grab our bags. He's saying I'm on my way. Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining me. See you later. Hit the like on your way out if you could for me. Appreciate it. Bye.